easy for them to blend into the culture, but it will be different initially.
And so during this fight stage, you'll find yourselves making a lot of comparisons. And families, it's important to keep in mind that the au pair is going to perhaps, you will think, nitpick on a lot of things about how you're living your life. I had a family who said the au pair and her got into a discussion over using cloth diapers versus, what is it, plastic diapers or Pampers. And the family, fortunately, was able to recognize that the au pair, that it wasn't that she was just picking on diapers, but there was something else going on for her, that she was feeling very frustrated because culture shock, how it occurs is by the loss of familiar cues. Suddenly, things that were so easy for you did without even thinking, going to the post office, driving a car, going into a restaurant. Suddenly, these things become a great sense of anxiety for you. Au pairs have come and asked, what does it mean when you go to the grocery store and they say paper or plastic? I mean, do they mean credit card or real money? So when you walk into a fast food restaurant and you go up to order, and you'll even find in terms of choices how you can't just say I want a hamburger and french fries and Coke. You need to indicate what size hamburger or fries, and what kind. Do you want cheese or no cheese? And then at the end of making your order, you'll be asked for here to go. And for us as Americans, we know exactly what they're talking about. However, these are some of those subtle parts of our culture, things that mom and dad have not told us. Well, when you go into a restaurant, you know what for here to go means. But as an au pair, the families may not think necessarily to tell you that for here to go means, do you want to eat your food here or do you want to take your food out? And what you'll find is there will be so much within this new culture that you're experiencing that really you're going to just learn by being here and with time. I would say the fight phase of culture shock will last maybe for 2 weeks to up to 2 months, 3 months. It all depends, it all varies depending on if this was your first time leaving home. It depends on just your adjustment to your family. Culture shock follows a U curve, and the honeymoon is at the top part of the curve, and the flight stage is the next point, and then you've got the fight, which is really the lowest. I mean, you're going to feel the most perhaps depressed at that point. You'll find yourself writing letters back home. You'll run to the post office or run to the mailbox and just get a letter from home, and you'll eat it up. You'll read it over and over and over again. You'll find yourself craving certain foods.
Well, after Christmas, I was very homesick. When nothing really was going on, it was dark outside, it was kind of boring, everything happens every day. I started to be homesick, very homesick. I missed my mother, my friends, but that's normal. All my friends have the same reaction, and no, it's better already. The summer is coming and things is going on.
One of the things that au pairs even notice is their body, for the female au pairs, is your bodies are going through the adjustment, and you find your menstrual cycle may be off, and au pairs get alarmed about that and rush to the doctor. I mean, you're going through mental and physical adjustment. And so it's important to try to really remember first why you came here. Think about what are the reasons that you first made the commitment to be here and be a participant in the Au Pair Homestay program. And to ask questions. I know you're very shy perhaps in the beginning, and you don't want to come off stupid or, well, maybe this is something that wouldn't be appropriate to ask. But the families will always say to us, You know, I wish I knew. I wish I knew that that was a problem for the au pair, or that the au pair misunderstood. It's important for you au pairs to ask questions. I mean, your family, if you're not happy, then they know that you're not going to be good for their children. And their children are very important to them. So whatever it takes to make you happy, if they can do it, they will. But you need to let them know. If it means that you really just don't like the food that they're making, well, you need to be eating. And so it's important for maybe you to go to the grocery store when the host mother or the host father goes grocery shopping, and you buy things that, or maybe you make a meal for yourself. Or we've had families who one day a week they say it's our French night or it's our Irish night, and they cook with the au pair a meal that the au pair chooses.
The George and I have together have tried to cook, I guess, about 4 or 5 times, and every time they're delicious. But when we're always finished and we kind of put these ring cakes together, that is not the way. My mother would laugh if she saw what this looked like, because this is not how it looks like. And I said, I don't care, it tastes good.
After the fight phase, the next phase of culture shock is then filter. And filter takes maybe, again, this is after a month, after 2 months, but think of when you look into a camera and you see a lens, and for some things that you'll see start to become in focus, they become clearer to you, whereas some other things may still be fuzzy. You may still not understand the reasons why things are done the way they are, or how we communicate with one another. However, you are starting to accept some of the ways here, not like the fight phase where you're really just placing a lot of judgment and making a lot of assumptions about Americans and the new culture that you're in.
When she first got here, she was terrified of the telephone. And if she needed to call and ask some questions, she'd write down a script for herself. And now she still does write down a script for herself, but she's, you know, she can be more spontaneous and joke on the phone. And that's, you know, it's just the types of things that she really had problems with or was just really afraid of when she first came. I've seen her grow and change and be able to master those and open up to new experiences. And I think probably just from my perspective, it's, you know, seeing my younger sister growing up.
Then the final phase is flex. And that is where we hope all of you get to, which may come again in 6 months, and maybe for some of you it would take a year in your last month that you're here, where you really feel at home here. And what you'll find is you call your home, your family back home, and you'll say, oh, I love my family here, I love my home here. And your family says, what do you mean your home here? Your home is back here. And you think, oh, yes, yes, yes.
When I have to leave, I have to leave a second family. Of course, I'm going to enjoy to see my family at home again, but I have a lot of friends here, and I give up a kind of a new life, so it's going to be sad.
We're not here to make you Americans, but what we're hoping is that if you get to the flex phase, that really you've almost obtained a sense of being bicultural. And you'll even find when you're with Americans, you may change your way of communicating. You automatically keep that arm's length distance, that you would maybe just say hello, how are you, fine, thank you, where that was something in the beginning you used to react to in a very negative way because you felt it was superficial, just to come back with this immediate fine thank you. And families, it's important to be familiar with what the phases of cultural adjustment are for your au pairs, because at that point what they're really going to need from you is someone to listen. That when they're complaining, and I know it could be very difficult not to get defensive and not to react, or not to say, well, if America's so bad, why did you come? You made the choice to be here. But to realize that these are all symptoms of culture shock. And if you can, as much as possible, to get your au pairs immediately integrated into your lifestyles. I mean, and have them go with you to neighbors' homes, to family gatherings. Have them have the opportunity to maybe have a chance to talk with you during dinner time.
For Thanksgiving, we went up to my parents in New York, and in some respects, George has almost been adopted as another grandson and grandnephew by my aunts. When we go up there, is when first time we walked through the door of my parents' house, the first thing my family did was, they're kind of a huggy, kissy kind of family, was they all came over and gave him a big hug and said welcome. They were glad to meet him, and instantly, other than the fact that you heard this one voice with a slightly different accent in the background, it was just another person in with the family gathering over, the whole time, and then again at Christmas, the same sort of thing.
That's the other thing that au pairs say, is they realize Americans are very busy, and the au pairs are concerned that they might be intruding or taking time away from them. So they, as soon as the family walks in, the au pair thinks, okay, I better go to my room and let them be alone. And it's important for you to articulate or to share with the au pair that you do want them to be a part of the family, and to hear from them and take interest in them. Ask them questions about home. When they're feeling depressed, or you're hearing maybe an au pair's crying in the room, ask them, what are the things that you miss about home, to see pictures.
Okay, first of all, you gotta hold the sticks like this.
I think the family ought to know that they have to sit down and talk when there's problems. Not only problems in the family, but problems, what's happening with the au pair, because a lot of happening when you're here. A lot of things is happening with yourself. It's a year that you'll never forget, and it's something you'll always carry around with you. And it's changing people a lot.
If you provide the right environment for the au pair will provide the right environment for the child, and I think that's the most important. It has to be the overriding factor.
This is not a situation where you are hiring a nanny or you are hiring a caregiver. This person is making a trade with you, but for some very different reasons. They want to be a part of the family. They want to interact with you. They don't want to be expected to go to their room or be out of your way once their 9 hours or however many hours a day is up. And as Andrew says, that's what will make the difference.
Absolutely. The determinant of how the relationship will go is in the vision of the people who are bringing the au pair into the house. If they consider that person to be hired help, they're limiting their experience.
A good family is a family who lets you talk to them. They treat you like a part of the family. They take you on vacation, on trips. They help you. You need direction for where is that meeting, they help you. It's like being a dad and mom. That's what makes a good family.
We showed him around and we helped him a lot. Because he'd say a sentence and then he wouldn't know the word he was trying to say, or he wouldn't know how to pronounce it, and he'd say, if I say something wrong or I don't know what to say, to help me. So we had a hard time with that because he kept saying things so weird.
But most of the time we understood him.
You may be surprised to see that their English will, over 2 or 3, 4 weeks, will get much better than in the beginning. But it's important for you to not make assumptions either when you say, I want the laundry done. What do you mean?